little bit of a different intro video.
Yeah.
No, I'm not used to that. I'm not used to the more like serious. Like I don't know. I like my intros fun and upbeat and like hit you in the face. Let's go, bitch. Let's have some
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
But no, that one was a little more serious. What did you think of it?
Well, I mean, it does the job. It gets the message across. You don't get. I think a lot of people kind of get the wrong idea about intros and things like that, and sometimes get a little too crazy, and
Yeah,
then people start to lose track of what you are about or what your show is about. But this one just simple. You know exactly what you're getting into here.
hmm
Well, almost.
yeah, almost.
Some people may not know us that well.
Yeah, no, that's true. But there was still the countdown. There was still my countdown. I
Yep.
threw that in. But you know what? I and if Mister's watching this, I'm sorry, but you have to admit the countdown fit in with what it was with the
Mhm.
message. So I like it. Speaking of Mister, before we begin, I just want to let everybody know we're on globalghosthunt.com or Global Ghost Hunt Facebook and YouTube and on Parapost Network Central, where we're at as well. We're actually tag teaming the live airstream with Haley, host of GGH on Air. They have CITV, Brandon and Cara on tonight, and it's a lot of fun. I love those guys. Those guys are great. So if you're watching this, head on over, give them some love as well. But I want to give them a shout out and to Mister. Sorry, it's the scheduling. I know as admin staff, he doesn't like us to kind of piggyback each other, but sorry, sorry, not sorry. It's been a week. It's been a week. Before we get into tonight's topic, I do want to let you guys know, if you notice, there's my new logo. My new logo is right above Shadow there, right up in the corner, and it's also on my chest here. I have my new merch out. I like my new logo. It's simple. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. Hopefully, it's recognizable. I'm hoping it will be. But go check out the merch store. Um, Link is in the description. Go check it out. I have a whole bunch of different, and I'll give Shadow here a sneak peek after the show. But I have a whole new line, I guess, or a whole new batch of merchandise designs coming out. So go check. You'll have to go check that out if you want to see it. So tonight we're here to talk about, to me, a topic that is both controversial, but at the same time not. It's loved, it's hated, it's feared, it's respected. It's both. It's both sides of the field, and that's death.
Mhm.
Um, we all deal with it. We all deal with it our own certain way. We all, you know, we all have, and I know you know this, brother. We all have our own ways of dealing with death, and
Mhm.
I think paranormal investigators, especially, we deal with it a very different way, very different than what the general populace does. Um, that being said, I want to thank everybody who gave love and support to my family. My uncle just passed this past week. I do appreciate that, and I know my cousins and aunt appreciate that as well. Um, it was quick. I will let you guys know. I wasn't expecting as quickly as it was, but it happened.
Right.
And honestly, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've talked about death. I think the last time I spoke about it was just after my aunt passed, and that was tough too. Um, but I figured, you know what? Now's a good time. Now's a good time to talk about this because let's be honest. Oh, Joanne's here. What's up, Joanne? How are you tonight? Because let's be honest, brother. There's a lot of that going on in the world right now, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about death. There's a lot of death in the world right now, and then there
Mhm.
always is. But it the media seems to be more focused on it now. I mean, yeah, we have the Olympics. That's kind of a look over here type situation, but I am hearing a lot more about death or like we were backstage talking. This is why we were late. You know
Yeah.
what happened, the other week with Trump, and a bunch of different things. Even the thing about Joe Biden, sleepy man, the Sandman, falling asleep. Uh, Apparently, he fell asleep for a long time. He fell asleep.
You mean
Oh, here we go.
good old Bo Jiden? It's just I like it when kids rub my legs.
I couldn't. Sorry, but if you like Biden, God bless you, but you should know better when Aaron and I get together. But no, there was even the thing about him. Apparently COVID took him. I don't know, but there's so much death in the world, and we as paranormal investigators, I think this is a missed opportunity for us. This is a missed opportunity for us to talk to the general populace about death, because we deal with it every time we go out, every time we go investigating, every time we study the paranormal, every time like we go looking for crystals and stuff. We always deal with death. Always. We have more experience in death than anybody else in the world. Think about that. I think we are missing a huge opportunity to speak to the masses about what happens. At least our theories, at least, because let's be honest, nobody knows. What's up, Fedora? If you guys know who Mr. Fedora is, or if you don't know, welcome to the show. This is my brother Scott Morton from WASP, Warren Area Society of Paranormal, and he just got a new bus route, so we have a whole new batch of people to have them sing Wheels on the Bus for him. And hopefully, little hint, we might be seeing you soon, Fedora. Might be getting a bus pass, just saying. He's like a 3-hour drive. I love it. Could you imagine if all of us lived together, like close enough to where this is just a quick day trip? Imagine how dangerous that would be.
Well, that depends on what aspect you're talking about. For some of us, it might be a bit of a legal danger. We tend to be a little friendly, I guess. I don't know about you, but I'm Generation X. I come from a day when a good time was going up, getting drunk, starting a fight, and then just have a beer with them later on. Bust them up and buy them a beer.
And it's funny. I don't know if you know who Fat Electrician is. If you guys don't know who the Fat Electrician is, seriously, look him up on YouTube. Look him up on hilarious guy, great guy, very knowledgeable about military. He did a really fun little episode of the Seabees. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. We build, we fight, and when we get bored, we drink, and we break stuff just to build it back up.
Yep.
Or the other way around, we build stuff just to break it. He's not wrong. You're not wrong either, Fedora.
But when it comes to how we paranormal investigators look at death and approach it, I think part of it is the mindset that paranormal investigators see death or the paranormal as something that's tangible, whereas a lot of people just look at it from a strictly spiritual aspect, and that it's just some sort of mystical thing. And
well, I don't think we could properly talk about death unless we talk about life first. One thing I wanted to ask you, brother, is what does life mean to you? Because you've got a unique mentality about you, and if you don't know what I mean, go check him out. But what is
warned?
If they're watching this, if they watch my stuff, they know.
Right.
They're fine. You make the cut.
But as far as what is life? I mean, that's a question that's always going to be tough to answer, because we can't really define life in a general enough sense to be able to apply to everybody. And so life, when you break it down into, for the topic of discussion, gets kind of tricky because we each have our own experiences. We each have different ways our emotions are connected to certain situations or objects or people. So to ask somebody what is life to you, for someone like me, life is it's a mix of struggle. It's a mix of small accomplishments, big accomplishments. But I think the one aspect that makes life have the most value are the people you connect with, because you can have everything in the world, but it don't mean anything if there's no one there to share it with, no one there to, you know, distribute it with or enjoy it. Yeah, life, you got to have a connection with people.
I agree. I really agree. And to me, if I had to define life in one word, just me, it would be a gamble.
Mhm.
And because it is, you know, you wake up every day and you're already gambling, and when you leave your house, when you wake up, 90% of us do one or two things. Well, as soon as we wake up, we check our phone,
Mhm.
see if there's any missed calls. Why? For that reason, just what you said. We've made a connection. We've made a connection with people.
Yep.
And throughout your course of life, you do things that can either go one or two ways. You can either raise you up or drop you down, just like you said, struggles and everything else.
Mhm.
But to me, especially with this time, oh, well, here, Joy in Life, Broken Promises. Okay. Okay, I can see that, Joanne. And we have Crossover Paranormal Society. Cops. Uh-oh, cops are here. It's our brother, Jonathan Myers. What's up, brother? He's another good one, guys. You need to watch. He's
Yep.
you definitely need to check him out. And actually, Aaron and I have had a pretty good conversation about him. I did tell him about it, by the way. But no, Jonathan's great. You definitely need to check him out. But
And don't worry, he really is that show.
yes, he is. He really is. Unless he's at that bridge. But what I've always said is life is just it's like I said, it's a gamble, but you learn something every day, whether it's about yourself, whether it's about life in general, whether it's about people, you're always learning.
Right.
And oh, Banshee's here. What's up, Banshee? Long time no see. Love and miss you. Same way with
Well,
Tony. What's up, Tony? Love and miss you. um, but when it all comes down to it, if you had to boil it up, like I said, it's a gamble.
yeah.
And what I tell people, especially like as a paranormal consultant, one thing I do is I offer like a grievance counselor, or so someone loses somebody, I'm there to talk about it. And the one thing I tell people is life in general is like the lottery. If you wake up every day and you go to your grocery store, gas station, whatever, and you play the same numbers every single day from the time you're born, eventually your number will get called. It's a mathematical fact.
Mhm.
Your number will be called. And I'm talking every day, 365 days, every day. Every single day you're playing that lottery. Eventually your number will get called. Life is the same way. Death is the same way. When we wake up, that is exactly what we're doing. We are playing that number again, and eventually it will get called. So you're gambling yourself every day.
Well, I mean, there's a
Now,
lot. The one thing that I think is kind of interesting about the idea of the whole gambling, you don't even have to look at it from your own personal perspective, because it was a gamble when a single microbe was introduced into the human evolution that would allow for what they call the brain explosion.
yep.
It's a gamble that each time the Earth passes around the sun, it misses an asteroid. It's a gamble that anytime our solar system passes through an area of the Milky Way, we don't have a massive collision.
Yep.
So people, I think, when you try to expand like that, it just becomes one of those things where you're just like, that's when you start to see that life is precious, and
Well,
it really is.
let's talk about even how fragile the Earth itself is.
Mm-hmm.
If we're in scientists have said this for years, if we rotate even 0.1 degree off of what we're at right now, it could be catastrophic events.
Mm-hmm.
It could reintroduce a whole new ice age. It could do the other, it could burn us. It could do a bunch of different things. It could end life.
Yep.
And, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter. And, you're gambling on other people. I mean, we'll talk, not to get too in depth, but how many, just from you and me, how many times have we gambled on certain individuals to be
Oh
there
yeah.
for us, to support us, just to get let down? Like, I saw what Joanne says, life, broken promises. How many times have we gambled on people doing that? How many times have we gambled for the other reason? We gamble on somebody and we end up winning. Like you and I, for example, or us and Mr. Laverty, or anybody in this chat. We gamble on those people and we win. We win, we succeed, they stick by us no matter what. Yeah, we have a little bump, but you learn. Life to me is honestly it's a personal choice. It's a personal opinion, but to me, life itself is probably the biggest gamble that we could ever take. And one thing that's kind of irritates me, that I see a lot of people say and do, and they always talk about this with death. If you can't talk to me while I'm alive, don't come to my, what I mean, don't come to my funeral, saying all this stuff, or however
Oh
it goes.
yeah.
If you can't take the time for me during life, don't come take the time for me at death. And we see that
Yeah.
with people. But they say, communication is a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? If somebody, to me, if somebody goes silent who's always talkative, why aren't you reaching out? If you see somebody's, in need, or somebody's not themselves, reach out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start losing connection with somebody, reach out, because they may not know they're doing it. Because I know for a fact I've done that.
Yep.
And I've wished people would reach out to me.
Well, part of the problem is we get this weird idea of what defines a good life.
Yeah.
And most of us, we have this culture that we've grown up in, where you got to have a home, you got to have a wife, you got to have kids. If you got a really good job, if you got a really good education, then you are successful in life. And so we focus so much on that we miss everything else. And by the time we have all that, 30 years has already gone by.
Yep. If not longer.
And yeah. And so when I got sober and moved to Louisiana, I was down there for 8 years. And after 8 years, I said, no, I'm going back to Minnesota. You know what? Everybody tried to talk me out of it. And I was like, look, I don't want to wake up at 50 wondering what if.
Yeah.
And had I not come back to Minnesota, I wouldn't have gotten married. I wouldn't have, gotten the programs that I've got to do my graphic design. I wouldn't have, there's just a lot to be said about really being careful where you set your priorities. because
Mhm.
it's not the things you have or the achievements you make that define your life, but it's those moments you have with people
Yep.
and how you make each other happy. That's what defines the quality of your life, and that's what we miss more than anything. More than anything.
100%. And Mackenzie, the Wicked Queen, and we were just talking about that the other day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I celebrated my 19-year anniversary of me raising my right hand and joining the military on the 29th,
Right.
on July 29th. It was 19 years. And I started thinking about it. If I would have stayed in, I could retire next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have my 20 years in and I could retire from the military. And I started thinking, what if I was still there? What if I was still in the military? But then I realized, and this is what I told her, because she said there was still a chance that we could see each other or we could still be together. I was like, I don't think so. I doubt it. I highly doubt it, because being in the
Yeah.
Navy, they're not Navy bases here in Pennsylvania. And, I wouldn't have my daughter, one of the biggest blessings in my life. I
Right.
wouldn't have all this. I wouldn't have the paranormal consultant. I wouldn't have Parapost. I wouldn't have my GGH family. I wouldn't have, like you said, all the things that I have now that make me who I am. And, I'm grateful.
Well, let me ask you this: is it those things that you're grateful for, or is it the people that you met on the journey to get those things?
Well, see, that's the fun part. I'm grateful for all of it, because I even told her, I said, listen, if A and B didn't happen, I would have never got to C.
Right.
If I never got out of the military, I more than likely and probably would not have met my ex.
Right.
Meaning my ex wouldn't have led to me coming back to Pennsylvania. If I wouldn't have moved back to Pennsylvania, I would have never met my daughter's mom. I would have never reconnected with my ex-wife. I would have never done this. I wouldn't have done this, wouldn't have done that. Every puzzle piece, good or bad, has fallen into place to put me where I'm at. And every puzzle piece is a certain person, event, or situation that has led me to exactly where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never, I can tell you right now, and anybody who's been in the military will tell you, if you're a military member, they do not like you doing the paranormal. That's controversial, at least not out in public.
Yeah.
You get restricted by a lot of that stuff. So I would have never met, like we spoke with Debbie, and if you haven't seen that episode, go check that out, because and a huge shout out to her, by the way, if she's watching. Debbie, I did get those books, freaking awesome, love them. I'll do a review on those on another show. I'll show you guys. You'll love this. But I would have never gotten to the point where I'm at now. And am I? You talk about the financial, the American dream. We all
Mm-hmm.
have heard about this. I don't care if you're overseas or not. You've heard of the American dream. 40K a year, a house, a wife, spouse. I'll just say, white picket fence, kids, all that good stuff. Let's be realistic. Who has that now? The upper middle class. A $40,000 a year job is not going to get you there.
No.
It's not going to get you
Actually,
to where that is.
well, at least not right now, because right now 40K a year is still below the poverty line.
Well, that's the thing. If you growing up, and I know most of us in this room watching too, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Growing up in high school, middle school, as soon as you could comprehend life choices, so to speak, $40,000 was the goal you had to reach. I
Mm-hmm.
distinctly remember my parents telling me, you need to work hard, you need to study hard, you need to do your best so you can make $40,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Once you reach that goal, you have made it. Your
Yep.
life is set. Now, like you just said it, $40,000 a year is just above the poverty line. And if you really break it down, like I'm not even making $40,000 a year with my
Right.
job. The Wicked Queen and I together make $40,000 a year,
Right.
and we're just on the cusp of 20 an hour. And So that should put in a little perspective, folks, on what that actually means.
Right.
And that's sad. That is very sad.
Well, I had a friend who was so determined. See, he grew up poor, and I mean, he if for anybody that's in Minnesota, do you know North Minneapolis, which is where the whole George Floyd riot took place? North Minneapolis is a pretty rough place,
Yeah.
and he grew up there. So when he had his kids, he was determined to make sure that his kid did not live the way he did.
Yeah.
Which, on the one hand, I think is great, but he was so obsessed with it that he made it a point that everything his kids had was the most current thing, even if that kept changing every 3 months. And the concern I had was that his kid was not going to understand the value of life, of having connection, of what really makes you happy, and it should never be the most trendy or current item.
No, and see, that's one thing I want to talk about here, but I want to just touch on what Tanner was saying, which, by the way, if you guys don't know who Tanner is, go check him out. Ghost Hunter Advice, great show. He's got a lot of amazing different podcasts, including writing. He does a lot of writing lives. But basically, 54,000 in the 90s is the same as 104 today. 120,000 household is about the bottom level. Yeah. And I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's the nationwide statistic. I know 120 here in PA. You're living pretty good, but yeah, like you're 100% right. It's not like how we were growing up. When we were growing up, it was the quality. The quality of life was your friends, your family, and everything around you. Everything that's around you. Now it's a matter of who has the most this or that or whatever, and if you don't believe me, look at TikTok. And nothing to bash TikTok. I love TikTok. I'll sit there for hours.
Right.
But who are the popular ones? Who are the popular ones? The ones who have the most money. I mean, there's one guy, and he's funny. I like him. There's this one big guy. I think he's like Arabian guy. He's a skibbity guy or whatever. He just bounces his big ass belly around. Great guy. Nothing against him. Look how popular he is. And he doesn't even say that. He just sits there and dances. Yeah. But he has the chains on. He's got the money. He's at these really expensive places. Like, I know I'm somewhat aging myself here, but Salt Bay. The Salt Bay guy. He's just dropping salt.
Yep.
I think he looks like Johnny Depp, but that's me. But it's the people with the most money and the most stuff are the most popular. And I think that's a message that we need to stop right there. That's why, especially like in the paranormal, and I know Shadow, you know this, and most of you guys know this too. I don't care about the popularity of people. I don't. I don't want, I mean, if I had the opportunity to talk with like Jason Haas, Steve Gonzalez, or Satori Haas again, or Sheree Marie Bennett, or any of these big names, minus Zach, if I had the opportunity to talk to any of them, great, I would. Am I going to pay thousands of dollars to have them on this show? Fuck no. I want the people like you guys, like the crossover, the Wasp, the Mr. Fedoras, you obviously, brother, Tanner, all of us who are the backbone of the paranormal field. Why? Because again, it's quality over quantity, right. and we are losing that. We as a whole, I'm talking worldwide, are missing that. We're missing that fact that I feel like I am a very rich man because if I need somebody, I know this man is a couple seconds away. Mm-hmm. Raymond Newsom, another great one. I haven't mentioned him today. He's another one I could go to. Any of my Parapost family, if I need somebody, there's always somebody there. Global Ghost Hunt family, always somebody there. Or I could come live. And it doesn't have to be in my studio with all this setup. I could go live on my phone and you guys will be there for me. I feel like I'm rich. I feel very good about myself knowing I have that support, which has helped me. You guys have seen me at my peak. You guys have seen me at my rock bottom. And I know it's even closer to home. I've got the Wicked Queen. We don't fight.
Right.
The Wicked Queen and I don't fight. We don't argue. I know we play fight a lot. Like you guys see me annoy the hell out of her, which is entertainment for me. I enjoy that, especially gaming. That's hilarious. But we don't fight. We don't fight about money. We don't fight about anything. I have my daughter. But the one thing I want you to notice is I didn't say anything about my parents. I didn't say anything about her parents. Do I love them? Yes. But I love them. I respect them. But their opinion to me doesn't matter. My daughter's opinion matters to me. What my daughter sees. Do I get to spend every waking moment that I can with her? I try. But she knows that I'm working my ass off to give her that better life.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with Mackenzie. She knows I'm busting my ass so that way we can be in a better situation. And I can be a support for her. And I know she's doing the same for me. So to me, I'm already rich. I don't need things. I have what I need. Soapbox off. But I don't know. It might be. Aaron and I were talking about this previous. Our computers have been acting up. I don't know what it is, but his was acting weird before the show. Mine's been acting weird for like a week or two now. It's acting. I don't know. And to be honest, Tanner, that might not be a bad thing. Anyway, you were going to say something, brother?
Well, it's just, one of the things that I think is, when it comes to the paranormal, what we're investigating, more specifically when we're dealing with human spirits, what we're investigating is what the mechanic behind this idea and this belief in this world beyond what we see.
Yeah.
Because we all know that the body died if the brain died. The question is it really that the brain is dead or that the brain is no longer able to produce the necessary power to, drive the body? And we all know that, we have the mind, the body, and the soul.
Mm-hmm.
There is a movie that was out a little bit ago. I think it was called The Phoenix Project.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that movie.
Oh.
That was a good movie.
Fucking love that movie because the idea of what happened to the body once the brain stopped, and the concept of resurrection is very, very unique because when I want to talk about the movie, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody either.
They had their warning. Go for it.
But so what happened in the Phoenix Project? You have a bunch of guys that are trying to discover the mysteries of death, and if resurrection or bringing somebody back from the dead was possible. And they experimented with some animals, and there was a lot of failures until finally something happened when they were able to bring an animal back. But what they didn't realize is that there was something that happened once the body dies and the brain stopped to function. And that's kind of, where you start to get that little hint towards, the consciousness being something that can separate itself, or if there was a spirit. It's a really unique movie. But anyway, so one of the guys decided, okay, if we're going to get real answers, we need to do a human test. So he sacrifices himself against his partner's wishes and without their knowledge. So when they find him, he's already dead. And then they bring him back using the same technique that they used to bring the animal back. And it was then that they discovered that you might be able to bring the body back, but there's a good chance you're not going to bring that person back.
Well, we've talked about this before. I know you and I have spoken about this. I believe Tanner and I have spoken about it too. I know Mister and I have. And I've said this on the show before. What is the consciousness? What is the soul? What makes us us? Our personality.
Mm.
And honestly, it's electrical impulses. That's all it is.
Right.
We are batteries. We think about the Matrix. We are all batteries.
Mm.
So it is scientifically proven that you cannot destroy energy.
Right. Right.
The energy has to go somewhere. So to me, and by the way, folks, I was going to do a commercial break in between the life and the death, just to kind of make it, but I'll be playing the 2 videos for the commercials at the end of the show. So do not go anywhere. You definitely want to watch them. But since you cannot destroy energy, what happens to that personality? What happens to that soul? What happens to those electrical impulses that you're talking about? It's got to go somewhere.
Right.
It doesn't just dissipate.
Right.
Excuse me.
Well, you have that, but you also now you start to get into the question of the soul and the consciousness. Are they symbiotic, or can they be independent?
I think they'd have to be symbiotic. I would think they'd have to.
Right.
It's just like you can't have, not to sound cliche, but you can't have light without dark. You can't have good without bad. I think it has that type of relationship. I mean, that's just me. That's just me. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because look at what we study.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about, UFOs or cryptozoology or anything like that. I'm talking about just human spirits, just the ghost hunting aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate saying that, but it is. Everything that I've seen leads me to believe that it is symbiotic, that they're symbiotic together.
Right. So, and the only reason why I mentioned that is because, you hear these stories and you read about some of these cases about how people have died and then came back. Mm-hmm. Now, the question I have about all this, this does not diminish their experience in any way or shape or form. But the question I have is, when they had those out-of-body experiences and they travel to, the next level, whether it be heaven or hell, were they truly separated from their body? And if there were, does this mean that it is possible to be able to bring back that energy into the body?
Well,
and if that's the case, then that's when you start now you start asking the question, okay, what's the connection? Why is it possible for that spirit to return to the body?
And sorry, folks, if you saw me reaching over, my fan was like right in my ear. It was starting to bother me. It's hot here in studio. But to me, and I base this off of talking, with several people who have had those experiences, including one of our brothers, AJ Capasso, who's talked about this publicly too. I think what these out-of-body experiences and these near-death experiences or NEDs or NDEs that we're seeing in the paranormal field, I think the reason why it's happening is because the body, the battery, isn't destroyed. The energy has somewhere to go back to. It's like a magnet, like the EMF. The battery is still there. It still has some sort of charge. So to me, I think that's what it is. It's like we electrically are designed for this flesh. This is what we are connected to. This is what it is. When we have the near-death experience and we have that moment to where the body is salvageable, that's what brings us back. It's that connection, that tether. And we see this with a lot of astral projections. We see this with these out of body experiences that people have, through meditation and everything else, with that tether. Because whenever somebody is training to do the astral projections, or they talk about astral projecting, they talk about a tether between yourself and your body. That, to me, is that line. That's the key. That is the link between. And whether we are doing it through meditation, or by accident through these out of body experiences, that's exactly what's happening. We have to be in these bodies. When the battery itself is damaged beyond all repair, that is when we go to this next level. That is when we truly die.
Right.
You know,
So with that being said, then what is death really?
that is the big question then. That is the big question. Tony says family member and friend both known they died. When doctors brought back a friend, something I felt hot back in a family member. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Oh, Mary said, but personally it was not the same. And that's something else too, Tony, that we can discuss, is some of these people that had these out of body experiences, they're completely different.
Mm.
And why is that? And we'll talk about that here in a second. To me, death is just a name. It's just a name. It's a name that we've given to that experience. And I'm just going to say battery because that's what I've started this shit on. When the battery itself, when this capsule is destroyed, it can't go anymore. Then we're like machines. When it's no more, that's that transition. We transition to death. We transition to the next level, to the next phase. And that is what we are studying in the paranormal field. What happens? Why does it happen? Where does it happen? Why? What happens after death? We obviously have that answer. Everybody always says the big question is there life after death? Duh. Obviously, who the fuck,
Right.
who are we talking to?
Right.
Anybody who's religious in any stretch of the imagination, that answer. Yes, there is life after death. Anybody who says the paranormal, yes, there is. We want to know why and what happens. Why do we die? Is it just because these machines, these batteries just run out? It's like a vehicle, a car. You can take as great as care of the car as you can. Over time, it's going to die. Some longer than others. That's why we still have antique cars. But to me, it's just a title. Death is just a title. It is the next chapter in whatever this is. Whether you believe in reincarnation, whether you believe in, nothing, you're an atheist, you just lights out. Oh, heaven, hell, it doesn't matter. Death is the title of that next chapter right now. And I think if anything, I think it'll be just like before birth. I really do. I really think it'll be just like before we were born. Whether you believe in past lives or not, we won't remember it. We won't know. We won't think about what we have here. It'll just be a new experience for us. And what we're running into in the paranormal field is there's still a connection. There's still some type of connection, no matter what it is. I don't know. It may be a family member. It may be a twin. I don't know. But there's some sort of connection to this existence. Is it a rift in the realms? I don't know. But we are not going to know that until we move on. And once we move on, we're going to forget about the question. We're going to forget about this life.
Mm-hmm.
We may still be able to interact. That's the beauty of our field, is we just don't know. But I want to move to what Tony said about when somebody comes back and they're not themselves. To me, I think an NED is just, it's a life-altering It's like a reset. It's scary. It's like, PTSD. It just, something happens to where it changes you. It gives you a slap of reality. Reality just comes up and bitch slaps you.
Well, a lot of time, one of the things that I think, that stopped a lot of people from really having the ability to understand, the supernatural or the paranormal or anything outside of what they are comfortable with, is everything we do, we based on the limitations of what we can do.
Yes.
Our eye can only see so much. Our finger can only feel so much. Our brain can only store so much information. And so everything we think about when we look at, life beyond death, we're operating on the premise that that is still going to have limitations just as in life. But is that true? Because,
Well,
if you're leaving this body behind, then in theory or in practice or whatever, you should be leaving your limitations behind as well.
you should.
And what we're encountering in the paranormal field is a spirit that's still operating based on the limitations of the flesh, that hasn't quite fully understood the fact that it is no longer bound by the limitations of the flesh.
Maybe what it is, since we are electrical impulses, maybe it's just like a computer. Maybe that software, and I'm using that term just to kind of relate, it hasn't updated yet.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, whether it's because of how quickly death came, or because of a traumatic event, or because a life-altering thing, maybe the brain or the electrical impulses, the software hasn't updated. It hasn't. It doesn't. It doesn't recognize. It doesn't recognize the fact that it's not here.
Installation error.
There you go. Bad software.
Yeah.
Got mine. Got
Shutdown
my.
crash. Boom, boom, boom.
I got Minesweeper stuck up here. It was be phasmophobia. But I mean, who knows? And yeah, Tony, you're absolutely right. No one is a professional in the paranormal field. Absolutely. And that's one thing I love about our field is if somebody says they're a professional in our field, they're lying. They are lying.
That's when you look at him and say, "Oh, I didn't know that Paracon had a comedy show."
Well, it depends if we're there.
Yeah.
But no, like, I mean, that's just, to me, that's just my thought. And again, it's just my thought. But I just think that it hasn't quite hit yet. It hasn't quite hit because of how quickly it was, because how quickly the change was.
Right.
Or maybe there's just that much passion and emotion, because let's be honest, even in meditation or anything, think of the strength that the mother would have trying to lift. Like they say the mother's strength can lift cars and move mountains because of their child being in danger. Maybe someone's passion to a person, a place, an item, whatever. That's why we're getting these hauntings, because these individuals are that tied to it. They have so much emotion, that energy they're putting out, and maybe it's just attracted to that location. Like, so let's say, I don't know, let's say Granny was, grew up in a house. Grandma's been there her entire life. She's watched her dad build that house. She's lived there, and then she died there. And then she's haunting it. Realistically, if she's put that much love, devotion, and time into that house, her energy, her essence would be throughout the entire home. And I think we all know that feeling, going into a family member's home. You just know You know it's their house. From the smell to the sights to everything. Like, that's why we get triggered by these. Do you remember in the 90s and they had, the TikToks that have
Yeah.
those couches still, those, and you know which ones I'm talking about, the orange and yellow or the
Oh
brown and
yeah.
yellow ones.
Yeah, the terracotta earth
Oh
tone
yeah.
color with a print that you're not sure if it's just a paint splatter or a print.
And you're afraid to ask.
Yep.
But we all know that. And it still happens to me today. Like, I'll walk by somebody or something, I can still smell my aunt's house. I get just that quick flash of my aunt's house or my grandmother's house or whatever. Maybe with somebody having that much connection, that's why we're getting those hauntings. That's why it makes sense that some may or may not haunt, because they have nothing else. They have nothing else to hang out on. There's nothing to keep them around. They move on to that next level. And again, this is all theory, folks, but I mean, it would make sense. It would really make sense, and that would explain trigger objects. That would explain, why places like Gettysburg and other places are haunted, because that energy is there. That connection is there. The connection is still from the flesh. But again, I don't know.
Well,
Very
the other thing
possible.
that kind of brings into question with all this is, I know a lot of people like to use the multiverse or things like that.
Which,
If
by the
you're
way,
scribed, go
sorry,
ahead.
don't mean to cut you off. Which, by the way, folks, I do follow the multiverse theory. I follow all of them. I'm a believer in all of them, in all the theories, Matrix theory, all of it. I believe it all. But multiverse is my favorite.
So the idea that is, and I kind of thought this is a possible theory about residual hauntings and only residual haunting. But what if, like you mentioned, before with trauma, what if the conditions are just right and something happened? In other words, a lot of times when somebody dies, the last thing they remember leaves an imprint. And what we're seeing, you have these different layers of dimension. And when the conditions are right, it creates a pinch so that there's a connection between all of them, and that imprint is left there. Because we also understand that time and light share a connection.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is very much like in a sense, a paranormal 3D skip.
Yep.
Not just in this dimension, but in others as well.
The only and I've read about that too, and then and I did read an article that said the same thing you did. There was the point of death that makes that imprint. The only thing that I will debate about is places like Gettysburg, places like some of these homes we've seen, like through the Global Ghost Hunt, we've seen a lot of amazing places. Some of them have been residual from the reports.
Right.
To me, that imprint in time, I don't believe that that's the end point. I don't believe that's when that individual passed. I think that is when somebody emotionally had enough energy to imprint on that location, whether they were scared, happy, whatever. Let's talk about Gettysburg. We'll just go with that, just because I know a lot about Gettysburg. I'm here in Pennsylvania, and everybody knows Gettysburg. So if I mentioned Gettysburg, folks, my show. I'm joking. But that was a very emotional experience for a lot of people. There was a lot of Civil War survivors that people have seen their ghosts. Or let's look at God rest her soul, Queen Elizabeth, who just passed this past year. Let's look at her. They're already seeing sightings of her. They're already seeing her spirit throughout the different castles. Buckingham seems to be the main one, but makes sense.
Right.
But they're already seeing her. She didn't die there. they're not seeing it at that location. They're seeing it all over the place. Now, whether
Right.
she's residual or not, don't know. I'd love to investigate. So if anybody in the royal family needs somebody, yo, um, the
Pretty
residual
much.
side of it, the residual side of it being just the point of death, that's a pretty big pill for me to swallow.
Well, like
I
I said, that's why I think, part of it is not so much as that they died there, but sometimes it's like there's the last thing they remember when they die.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I,
and again, this is only something that you can apply to residual. This isn't something you can apply to an intelligent haunting.
of course. I mean, I could see that. I could see that. But see, that's the beautiful thing with this field. But
Mhm.
the other thing the only other debate I can say with that one, and by the way, folks, this is the way you properly debate in the paranormal field. And I'm not saying that what we are talking about is the right way, but how we are doing it. This is how debate should be done in the paranormal field, not
Right.
me. But
Mhm.
how many residuals have you seen throughout your career of these spirits just walking a hallway or
Yeah. Well,
walk through a wall?
right.
Yeah, it may not be the actual activity, but honestly, my last thought, and I've been close, if I'm going to pass, my thoughts are of the people that I have that connection with, and even some of the what ifs and the regrets that I have. It's not me walking up and down a hall. Like I'm thinking of, you know what I mean? Like there has to be something more
Well,
substantial. I don't know.
I mean that's just it. I mean, because we don't have any way to be able to, read a person's final thought at death.
Unless you're in the movie Wild Wild West.
Yeah,
Which
but
I want to try that. That looks cool.
oh, that'd be a little freaky, but yeah.
That
Uh,
is a man's head. Yeah.
yep. And I love it. And I love it when they're like, looking at it and like, why can't I? Oh,
He has.
turn it upside down.
What is that? Oh, he had glasses. Oh. Mm. Slap the head. Focus.
Just messing around with a severed head. I just
Only a Will Smith movie can you get away with that.
yeah. Well, that depends on the kind of movie because The Godfather would pull off a severed horse head.
This is true. Great movies, by
You
the
know.
way. We need to do one of just fucked up movies.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so since
Tangent.
we don't really know what the last thought of a dying person can be, we don't even know if the person is even coherent once they get to that certain point of, in that transition, crossing that threshold.
Mhm.
Because the human brain is limited
Yeah.
for as much potential as we talk about. So I kind of feel like sometimes once that spirit starts to cross over, the human brain is no longer able to comprehend what the spirit is seeing. So the brain just starts to spit out random thoughts. So who knows? It might have been the last thought being walking down that hallway
And
or standing at a doorway.
if you guys see me fidgeting, by the way, there is a freaking fly in studio and it is going after my legs. So I'm trying to send it over. I'm gonna talk to the fly after this. We're gonna have an investigation, find out what happens because I'm gonna send it. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's very difficult. It's very difficult to say, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Like with the residuals that I've seen, to me, it's more of an imprint.
Yeah.
It's more. It's more of a something happened in that time that somebody imprinted on that place, and they continued. I just to me, and this is again my thought. I can't see it being the last thought. I can't see it as a death experience.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's more of a just what I said imprint. It's like a DVD. It's just that's what it is.
Well, you
It's
know what? You're wrong. Fuck this. I'm out of here. I'm out the show. You're just fucking wrong.
all right. You know what?
No, I get it. You know,
That now see that's a paranormal debate.
yeah,
But no, I mean, I can see both ways. I can see both
right,
ways of
right.
it. But to me, logically, it's more of an event. It's not the end. It's not the last thought. And the, I just and I'm saying this because of, like I said, what I've experienced in Gettysburg, and I've seen residuals in Gettysburg. I mean, I've seen soldiers marching.
Mhm.
They have no clue what's going on around them, but they still march. They still wander around, do what they do. They've got no clue we're there. I can't see that being someone's or even a group of people's last thought.
Right.
I don't know. Like, to me, it would be of home. It would be of, like, especially in that situation, you'd want to start thinking of home. You want to think of your family, not the shit you just went through
Mhm.
or you're about to go through. But then again, that's the theory. That's what's beautiful about it.
Right.
Now, Tony's talking about the intelligence side of it. And I've seen this too. The movie Others, kids and mother continue their daily routine, not knowing they are dead. I've seen that too. And see, now this one's tricky because I know we've ran into this in the paranormal field too. Spirits don't know they've passed on. They don't know they're dead. We
Yeah.
spoke about this earlier. Now, there's a huge difference though. There's a difference between whether it's a residual and intelligent. If they're interacting with the environment, kind of obvious, intelligent. If it's like we said before, it's like a CD skip or a DVD skip. It doesn't know you're there, it doesn't care you're there. That's the residual side of it. But there again, begs what we were just talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're the difference between repetitious behavior and residual behavior.
Yes. Yes. 100%. It's like an energy from an action movie. So yeah. What the hell? I got a bunch of different pop-ups. Sorry about that.
Oh, shiny.
No, Norton. I just got Norton, not Scott. The Norton virus protection. See, Morton. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it's throwing me a whole bunch of different pop-ups. So you can subscribe to this. Go try that. No, fuck off. There's
Right.
also an idea that we're seeing into the past. Very true. Like 2 or more points in timeline touching. Of course. That's something we were saying. There's a whole bunch of different theories about this, and
Mhm.
who's to say who's right or who's wrong? There's no everything in the paranormal is theory. But I think Tony, what we're saying with the repetition side of it is, I think that aspect is just like what we were talking about earlier with your morning routine. We don't think about it, or
Yeah.
driving to work, driving to your job after you've been there a year or two. You don't think about the drive. You don't think about, okay, well, in 200 feet, I have to turn right. No, you just do it. It's instinct. And I think that's the repetition side of it that we're seeing in the paranormal field. And if
Mhm.
it's an intelligent, it is just going through its daily routine. It's just doing what it always does. It's going through, it's making, cookies, it's doing this, it's doing that. It's whatever it did in life. It's just going through the motions. The only difference is it's noticing change. It's noticing the change of you being in that environment. And
Right.
that's where we find our intelligent haunts. Even if and I've ran into intelligent spirits that didn't know they were dead. And I'm sure you guys have too out in the field. And it's hard. It's hard to sit there and break it to them. It's like, you ain't here, bitch.
Yeah.
I got something, I guess. You might want to sit down for this. Um, But the residual side of it, that's something completely different. That's something totally different, and I don't know. Let's see. They could all be right. Exactly. One thing at one location. So yeah, 100%. I've even seen some locations that have both residual and intelligent haunts.
Mm.
Um, which, by the way, that makes for an interesting EVP session. You never know who you're talking to, or you never know the sounds you're hearing come through, whether it's the residual or the yeah. Done that on a
I
day off.
try not to be a smartass because I'm the kind of guy that would, if I came across a ghost that didn't know it was dead, I'd probably be stupid and be like, "No, I don't want you to have a heart attack here, but you're dead."
Oh, I've told them flat out.
You
I mean,
know,
look at the USS North Carolina. Yeah, you're dead. What are you gonna do?
yeah,
But no, I've actually told spirits, hey, you ain't here. You know, you, um, it is tough to be on that side of it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, how do you not know? I mean, look at the movie. One of my favorite is I think it's called Ghost Town. I think it's what it's called, Ghost Town. Where this guy starts seeing spirits and he gets followed by everybody. Like one of the spirits realizes that they can see the spirits.
did this
And
have Michael J. Fox?
no, it wasn't Michael J. Fox. It was
That one was
I gotta. This is gonna piss me off. I'm gonna find it. Um, um, give me a sec, folks. This is one of those that's gonna bother me. Movie where
the one I was thinking of was Fright Night. I think it was where Michael J. Fox played a paranormal investigator or a private investigator, and he starts seeing ghosts. It even
that
had
was
Arlie Ermy Gunny Sargent in it.
yes, I know which one you're talking about, and you know what? I haven't seen that completely through, and it bothers
Oh,
me. But no, here this is. I think as far as movies are concerned, this is probably one of the more accurate depictions on what might be. This is the one, Ghost Town.
okay.
This is the one, and if you haven't seen it, you have to. You absolutely have to see this movie. This is if you're a paranormal investigator. To me, you cannot sit here and say that you are one if you haven't seen this movie because it makes sense. This guy's full blown prick. I'll just give you the short version. He's a full blown prick. Has a near death experience, just what we were talking about before.
Mm,
And next thing you know, he can see spirits. Even better than that, he can
right.
communicate with them. They act like physical beings in front of him. Um, but it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Ghost Town. Great movie. But I don't know. Like to me, I think it depends on the situation.
Right.
It 100% depends on how did you die, what were the circumstances, were you surrounded by loved ones, weren't you, which would make sense why not every family member is haunting your family, your home, the
Right.
relatives. Now I will say folks that I do know that it does trend after somebody passes away. Within, for some reason, it's always 2 weeks. Within a 2 week time frame, they come back and they give you subtle hints, letting them know that they're okay. They will
Right.
come back for that closure. I do know that. I've experienced it myself with my aunt, with my grandparents, with my uncle, and even studying this field. People have told me this.
Right.
Um, but I think if you have that closure, that's when you can move on. It's that imprint that we were talking about earlier. You're severing that last tie
Mm.
once you get that proper closure. You were gonna say something. Sorry.
Well, no, I mean, that just that's something that you see a lot in like murder cases or things like that. When someone moves on, or it doesn't move on, when someone is trapped because they haven't been able to bring in closure, that's where you start to get those, depending on where you sit with this is where you start to get those spirits that can, just be human, but angry and demanding closure or answers. And I think, now this is kind of where you start to get a little weirder into the paranormal. I think
Right show.
when we as investigators find those kind of cases, we start to investigate. This is where we need to be careful how we talk to these spirits. Because regardless of who the spirit is, anybody that's mad, whether they know they're dead or not, they're still operating on the same function, or the same idea that, emotional connections, emotional responses. And so that's when you start to get those violent kind of haunting.
Well,
And, so how do you prevent that? How do you resolve that?
Well, see, that one's tough. And actually, I'm going to take a step back before I touch on that. Okay. I do want to say I did watch this episode that Tanner was talking about with Complex Hauntings. Very good episode, guys. Go check that one out. I love Tanner. Tanner's like our encyclopedia when it comes to a lot of my research, and he's very knowledgeable. And I use a lot of his shows for questions, or I go to him if I have a question about anything. Very, very knowledgeable. And then we got
nerd.
What's that?
Call him Paranerd.
Ooh. Careful, I might have some merch coming out. Love you, brother.
I mean that in the most respectful way.
And I will create a design that is very respectful.
I can just see him, that fucking prick.
Y'all should know about giving me ideas. We got JWoww in the audience. What's up, JWoww? JWoww is actually going to be pretty close to me. I think yesterday he came. I remember him saying Wednesday. So I think he's close by. So something might happen. Just saying. But I think what I've seen through my experiences is when we start getting those malicious, angry spirits, mm-hmm. That's when we ignore those little subtle hints.
Right.
Being Williamsport on Sunday. I remember that. And we see this a lot whenever the way I explain it to a lot of the clients is think about a kid about 5-6 years old. If you ignore a kid, typically, what do? They throw a temper tantrum. They bang stuff. They throw stuff. They slam doors. They, do whatever. They bite. They scratch. What does that sound like to you? A malicious haunting.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a liberal.
Well, that too. Democrat. Wow. Ooh. Sorry, folks. Getting over a cold. But sounds like Joe after not having his nap. But what I think what happens is when we start ignoring these spirits, we start ignoring these little subtleties. They get angry. Right. Mm-hmm. They want to move on. They want to relay this message. They want that closure. But when people ignore them, they start lashing out. And I think that's where that goes in. Now you got to be careful that, the difference between malicious and non-human and all this stuff. You got to be careful because there's a whole bunch of different things. But what we're talking about is the malicious, intelligent spirits. I think they're just frustrated because I've gone in there, or my team's gone in there, and we've done an EVP session and it stopped. They got their message across. We help them get their closure. We help the families get the closure. And everything's fine. You don't need to do a whole blessing. You don't need to run through the house with sage, screaming like the Olympic torch. Just no, you don't need to do
Right.
that. Just simple conversation. Just a simple conversation. And every time I go out, I do ask the spirits if there is anything that you want to relay to somebody in this plane, in this world, or if you want to say something that you've been holding on to, now is your chance. I'm giving you that opportunity to say what you've been wanting to say. Please let me know. This is your chance, your opportunity. And it is, every time I say that, by the way, it is so hard to break out into Eminem. But but it's like 8 Mile just starts flashing through my head. But
Right.
but I give them that chance to say whatever they want to say. And it's amazing how quickly that resolves these malicious intentions. Once they get that, and it's done, it's over with. They said their piece. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't malicious intelligence out there that are just fucking pricks. And you and I have had this conversation too.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's a prick in life, they're probably going to be a prick in death. It's very possible. Or then you can start turning into a bunch of different other things. It could just be their energy that's just, pissy. Then you start getting poltergeist activity and other stuff. There's a bunch of different things, but just what we're talking about is malicious, intelligent spirits. Again, not poltergeist, not anything like that. I don't know. To me, it just most of it just seems it's out of frustration. They're just frustrated. Sorry. Truthfully, I will be in Williamsport 3 separate times in the next month and a half. Only an hour away, just saying. But one thing though, and this is kind of one of the most, I've said this, and this is probably like my 4th or 5th episode on death. Which, by the way, this is the first time I've actually had a co-host for death. I think I want to say this is the first one. So, but one thing that I really feel like that us as paranormal investigators, we have it easier. We have it so much easier when it comes to death. It hits us differently. And I'm not talking individual. I'm talking as a whole, as a paranormal community. It hits us different. And I think it's because of not just religious backgrounds. It's because of our experiences in the field. Again, we know there's something else. Does it suck that the physical body isn't here? Yes. But at the same time, and I've said this numerous times, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of those who have passed on. I'm not saying I'm going to go out and do something about it. Facebook, YouTube, I'm not doing that. So don't block me or cancel me. But they have that answer that we are looking for. What happens? What happens? Why does it happen? They know it. Or they have a better idea and understanding on what happens than what we do. And to me, I'm jealous.
Right.
But what it just comes down to is whether you're going through a passing, whether it's today, past week, past 2 weeks, past year, any death that has created some sort of sting. Remember 2 things. Number 1, you're a paranormal investigator. You know better. You know better. You know that isn't it. There's something else. There's something else. So take solace in that. And the other thing I want you guys to take out of this too, and whether you're a paranormal investigator or not, if you really focus on that individual, you think about the all the times you spent together, all the joys, all the holidays, all the, good things about that individual. Try this. Sit down in a room by yourself, take your phone out, hit a voice recorder, and just talk. If you do that, you might be surprised on what you capture.
Yep.
And even if you don't capture anything, it's good therapy. It'll
Doesn't
let you
mean they're
get,
not listening.
yep, it'll let you get that closure that maybe not just you need, maybe they need.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I mean, this goes back to the wealth. This is another reason why I feel wealthy, because I have that knowledge, I have that understanding. I remember when my grandparents had passed, how much that hurt me, how badly that stung. And it stung for a while. And that pain that I had with it, physically and mentally, how long that lingered. Ever since I started my paranormal journey, that sting has really subdued. Yeah, the physical's not there, but that doesn't mean they're not there. That doesn't mean that that's the end. And there is a lot of proof out there that will back that up. And I want you guys to take solace in that, knowing that, I mean, it's been less than a week since my uncle passed. Were we as close as what I would like to be? Hell no. I would love to be closer. I still miss my aunt, who I grew up with, my grandmother, who basically helped raise me. And that's been years. It still hurts. But I know I'll see them again in one way, shape, or form. And I know if I really concentrate and really sit down and think, they may even show up. Now, with one of my buddies who passed, um, I don't want him to show up because he starts messing with stuff. He's like us, which, by the way, I still have my list so of people that I'm coming for. But the main purpose, folks, of this show, of this episode, is to let you know that this is not the end. Death is not the final. Death is a title. Death is just something that we've given a title to. You can call, I mean, if you really think about it, we talk about reincarnation, right? A lot of places talk about reincarnation and everything else. If you leave this body, this battery, and you move on to whatever is next, to me, that's reincarnation. You're being born new. So I take a little bit of joy in that. The consultant will be living on. There's more to this. Y'all ain't getting rid of me that easy. But at the same time, it's the same way with everything else. And everyone else. There's something else out there. When you start thinking about it that way, death really doesn't have that big a sting anymore. If anything, it just frustrates the hell out of me because nobody wants to tell me what happens. Fuckers.
Right.
And all the spirits I've spoken with, the best I've gotten was from Mr. Thomas Whaley, who just said it was cold. I even asked, what happens? What happens when you die? Not a freaking response. I'm like, you motherfuckers. Maybe they can't tell me. I don't know.
Who knows?
You're absolutely right, JWoww. You're absolutely right. If I die tomorrow, I'm coming back. Oh God, I can think of other things besides the fedora. But I don't know. What's your overall take, though? If you had to sum everything up, brother, as far as death.
Well, I guess one thing I can say is we need to stop looking at death as something that's evil, because death is neither good nor evil. It's just simply a purpose. It serves a purpose.
Yeah.
And while you have the opportunity, instead of trying to focus on being happy for a future that you are not guaranteed, try to find something that gives your life meaning and happiness today.
100%.
And I'm not saying don't prepare for the future. I mean, just don't let your future override the moment.
No, 100%. And like I stated earlier, and I've said on these other episodes of death I've done, death is to me like the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
You play your number every day you wake up. Every day. The closest we get to death, by the way, I don't know if anybody, I know some of you may know this, but the closest we get to death happens every day when we go to sleep. When we
Mm-hmm.
sleep, we are the closest we will get to death without actually being dead. But when you wake up, you're playing the lottery. Eventually, your number will get called. It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter how healthy you are. It doesn't matter how sick you are. It doesn't matter anything. I mean, you hear about cancer patients, terminal cancer patients that are outliving athletes.
Yeah.
There's accidents that happen every day. There's shootings that happen, seems like every day. And people just drop. Their number was called. And there's not a damn thing we can really do about it. We can try, but like Shadow said, fill your life full of wealth, of people, of experiences, of the stuff that's not a piece of paper. And what I mean is
Right.
money. It's not about money. It's about the people you know, the people that you impact. And it's not just once, it's every day. Whether it's a kind gesture, whether it's a smile, or just an ear to listen to, just somebody who you sit down with and you say, hey, I noticed something's not right. Do you want to talk? You never know what kind of impact that's going to make. And I know we don't like using the S word, but you know what I'm talking about, folks. But just a simple conversation can save a person, can add years to their life because you took 5 minutes. And I know on this show, we like to have fun and I like to, laugh and joke and be goofy, but this is a very serious topic. And it's one that gets ignored a lot. And I don't think we should. We as paranormal investigators, especially show hosts, we need to talk about
Right.
this. Talk about mental health. And I know, like Nando from Portals of the Paranormal, he's a big advocate in it too. A lot of us are in the Parapost family. We are all advocates to mental health. And I've always said at work, I may not have the greatest day, but if I can impact one customer's life to where they go home and say, my day sucked. But there's this one guy that I spoke with. He actually took 5 minutes and spoke with me and I feel better, or he was just a freaking idiot. He's funny, but he was an idiot. If I can make some kind of impact, my day was worth it. And I try to every day. We need
And
to all.
just real quick,
Yep.
if you can't reach out to somebody that you know, you can dial hashtag 988. That is the current suicide hotline number.
Yep. And this is a link too, by the way. You write down. That one's 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. There's a lot of them out there. This is just one, so please utilize it if you can. Could death be considered an experience until your soul hits the reset button? Definitely, absolutely, JWoww. It really could.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, folks, every day we need to make a positive impact in others' lives, but more importantly, in each other's. If you have a network like Parapost Network, Global Ghost Hunt, or just a little group of friends, reach out. If somebody is not acting the way they normally act, if somebody is quieter than normal, reach out. If you notice something that is different, take 5 minutes to reach out because you never know what they may be going through.
Robin Williams was probably an example that most people remember. The funniest and the happiest guy in the world turned out to be the saddest.
And it's funny. No, not really, but hindsight's 2020 in this one. The signs were there, and we all missed it. He had every symptom, and you could see it in his movies. You could see a huge difference from, say, like Mork and Mindy to What Dreams May Come or World's Greatest Dad. World's Greatest Dad was, to me, that was the big red flag.
Right.
And if you haven't seen World's Greatest Dad, it's a good movie, but it's sad. And then What Dreams May Come, I think that came after that, didn't it? Wasn't too long after, or was that before?
I want to say it was before.
Well, either way, I know they were pretty close. They were pretty close in timeline. So if you look at his mannerisms, yeah, obviously Mork and Mindy was more upbeat, more fun, but just his body language, even in like Mrs. Doubtfire, it was a difference. It was a change. You see it in the way he acted, and even in public, you see it on his shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of his funniest shows I've ever seen is when he was live in Broadway. Great show, funny show. But looking back at it now,
you need to catch his appearance on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Which time? He was on
when he had the blonde hair.
Okay, I think I it's been a minute, but I think I actually did see it because I used to watch that show all the freaking time when it was on.
Between him and Richard Simmons, or his appearance on Actors Studio when he does his improv at the very end. Oh my gosh.
Which, by the way, Richard Simmons, God rest his soul.
Yep.
Fucking amazing on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Especially the jet ski.
Oh, I could not stop. I don't think, if I remember correctly, everybody on that stage was dying.
Everyone except Colin, I think it was. Colin was just like straight face, and he was just right into it. Just everybody else was dying. I know I was.
Committed to the craft.
Oh, well, witchcraft. Which one? That's the anyway. But the point is, folks, is let's do our best to make a positive impact in everyone's lives. Let's make everybody wealthy by having a hell of a support system. And I know you guys can do it because you've been there for me. You've done it for me, and I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate all you guys, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Before we go, brother, you have anything you want to say or give a shout out to?
Well, I'm not sure how this is going to come off, but I did have to put an end to Breakaway Media and the Irregular American and a few other of my projects. I am down to just that weird show, and I'm going to focus more on that. And I do believe I am working on an episode. I'm trying to decide which one to pick, so you'll just have to, bear with me until I release the flyer for that, as well as From the Wild, which I do with Neil Mao, and our last show, which was about the differences between the Catholic Bible and the Common Bible or Lutheran Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And that one actually did surprisingly well. So we're going to do a part 2, and that'll probably be in the next week or so as well.
Ooh. I'll be there watching because I saw most of part 1. I was going into work, but it was a good show, real good show. But yeah, guys, go check out Shadow, see what he's got going on. Always a fun time and always random. I will say that you never know what's going to happen with your shows.
I'm the kind of fun random that at least won't make you wake up and have to take the morning after pill.
Maybe. That's still a rumor. But I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Health Empowers You. Great. You'll see the video here in a little bit. I got a video for you guys, so stick around. But Health Empowers You, guys. I actually feel so much better now that I've started using the recipes. I actually did. I bought the recipes live, and I haven't regretted it. I actually feel a lot better physically and mentally. I feel a lot better. Go check it out. Go to healthempowersyou.net. I got it right this time. And use code PC05 to just show some support for me and let them know that you're listening, or use Shadow's code. I don't remember yours. I'm sorry.
TWS05.
That's right. Because I remember trying to think TWA.
I think I'm actually a couple of IQ notches above that. So,
but go check that out. Use one of the two codes, TWS05 or PC05, all caps, for an even better discount. It's already discounted, and then you basically get a cookbook for under 10, or a whole recipe book for under $10. It's insane. And there's always new products that are going to be coming out, like teas and coffees are going to be coming out. I know there's some food coming. There's a whole bunch. Go check it out, healthempowersyou.net. And again, huge thank you to them for sponsoring us. And also a huge shout out to our Parapost family. Much love to those guys. Always a great time on Parapost Network Central. If you haven't seen Parapost Network Central, you're missing out. You're really missing out. Go check it out. It's right up here. There goes my hand. Right up there. Go check it out on Facebook. My microphone's right here on the green screen. It's cool. But go check it out on Facebook. Just Parapost Network Central. You can find it. Look for Para's logo. You'll see this show. You'll see Shadow shows and a bunch of amazing other great shows, including GGH on Air, which again, if Mr. you're watching, sorry. Kind of went in tangent. But go check it out. They had Caught in the Veil, CITB on tonight. Great group. Brandon and Cara are amazing individuals, and love them both to death. And Haley would fit in great with you and me. Like
Haley is Haley.
I want to get Haley, you, me, Raymond, and Mr. on a show. I want to I want all that in one.
Look. Brian has been nice enough to have us on Parapost. Let's not fuck with that.
What are you talking about? We push that envelope literally every show. I could just see it now. All I have to say is I have an idea, and everybody in Parapost. Oh,
yep.
But go check it out, guys. You will not be disappointed. And again, a huge shout out to Global Ghost Hunt. You guys don't know what Global Ghost Hunt is? Welcome to the show. 2 amazing 10-day events, one in October, one in the spring, and it's coming. It's coming very quickly. And you guys, if sign up while we still have spots available. celebrate with us. Celebrate your location, celebrate your team, celebrate your experiences and your passion for the paranormal field by just going to globalghosthunt.com and signing up. If you want more information, go there anyway and just look at all the fun things that we've done. You can also find Global Ghost Hunt on any social media site. I think we're on pretty much all of them. But go check out what we've done so far. And this is only the beginning. We always have new teams, new locations. And like I keep saying, my bucket list keeps getting longer with each event. And I enjoy it. I love it. I enjoy it. And I know the admin staff, Mr. included, he enjoys it. It's a big headache for a lot of us, but we enjoy it. And it really is a great time seeing these teams. So guys, go check out Global Ghost Hunt at globalghosthunt.com or on any social media, Facebook, YouTube, don't matter. Just go check it out. Go check it out. And I'll be playing those 2 videos, so do not go anywhere. But I want to thank my brother here, Shadow, for coming on and talking with me about death because honestly, I couldn't think of nothing against anybody, but I couldn't think of anybody who would do it justice like you would. So I really appreciate you coming on, brother.
Well, thanks for having me on. And you know how it is. Anytime you got an idea, well, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Anytime you got a topic you want to talk about,
there it is. Hey guys, I have an idea. Shit.
Yep.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and check out some of the paranormal gaming, which, by the way,
right.
Shadow and I have been talking about. We are going to get back into Paz. We are going to get back into Planet Crafters, and we are getting into Demonologist at some point.
You better be getting into the demonology.
I have it. It's right there loaded up. It's actually on my, it's weird. Like I have a dual screen and I have my main screen and then I have my side screen. My side screen has I have it split. I'm not organized by any stretch of the imagination, but my games are. I have Steam on one side and I have Battle.net on the other. So I have all of them separated and it's weird. And Demonologist is on there. Just saying. But no, I really appreciate you coming out, brother. And again, huge shout out to Health Empowers You, Global Ghost Hunt, and Paraplus Network Central. Go check them all out, guys. And again, go check out my new merch. We have new designs coming out with my new logo. Wicked Queen's got some new stuff. Go check it out. Paraconsultantstore.com. Links are in the description. And go check them all out. Go check out all the links. So, all right, guys. I think that's it. But do not go anywhere because, like I said, I've got my commercials videos as my outros today because we got into a very deep topic. So do not go anywhere. Check it out. But other than that, I think there's only one more thing left for me to say. Y'all have yourselves a great rest of your night. Have fun. Stay safe. But as always, guys, happy hauntings.